Welcome, Leonard Smith Jr., to the pearly gates of heaven. Please don't be alarmed. I know you might be very confused at this time. You may even be a little bit scared, but I'm St. Peter. I control the gates here, and it's my job to ferry souls into the ever after, the great beyond, and I see that you're here.
I can't believe I'm standing here talking to you, St. Peter. I knew I always had positive energy. I knew I was always just trying to lead a good life. I may have not necessarily been in the church all the time, but I tried to be the best person I could be.
Well, you know what? I have good news for you. It's actually, we appreciate spirituality here, obviously, but it's not about how often you go to church. It's about the life you lead and how good you are to other and how strong you are to your own word. When you give your word, you keep it.
Oh, I've always been a man of my word, St. Peter.
Have you done any... Listen, we have your whole file here, but I want to give you the opportunity to tell me, is there anything in your life, did you ever wrong someone in a way that you didn't make right? Or did you ever lie, cheat, steal, murder?
Okay, I could never murder anyone. I've never even gone hunting. I've for sure done some fishing through the fish bag.
We're okay with fishing. Fishing's fine.
Okay, we all tell white lies, there are times when you go into a relationship with a girl and you really think maybe this could be a relationship, and then it doesn't, and you're like, this isn't going to work out. But
Sure.
You stay, and you continue to be friends and maybe have benefits, and then things get weird and wonky. But no, I've never intentionally lied or done anyone harm.
I got to say, Mr. Smith Jr., I think you're going to pass the test pretty much with flying colors. We do have one thing here on your ledger. It looks like you made an oath to yourself, and that's actually one of the most sacred oaths you can make. We look on those very...
I do keep it real with myself, especially.
So
I don't lie to myself.
Do you remember, can you tell me why on October 10th, 2009, you made a firm vow that you would never watch the 2011 cinematic disaster Green Lantern? And I'm seeing something somewhat troubling here. It looks like...
Wait a second. Wait, you can't. It was part.
It looks like you did watch it.
Yes, but it was part of another oath that I made to someone else about a season for a podcast. It was a quarantine. It was a pandemic. Things were wonky. It was one of the craziest years of my life.
Breaking oaths for a podcast is worse than just breaking them because you feel like it, Leonard. You know that we don't accept.
You called it a disaster yourself.
It's bad. Yeah, we saw it. Nobody who is associated with the film is in here, by the way. They all went. They all got sent down.
I didn't think that I was going to live to 2047, and you're telling me now 2020 is coming back to bite me in the ass.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Again?
I'm sorry. And you know it's a shame because
Quinn
is in here.
Does this mean I only get into like the lower level of heaven or something?
No, there's no lower level. There's just one level. And well, there is a VIP level if you get a certain number of miles, but that's like a whole thing you have to get in there.
So because I watched the Green Lantern movie,
yeah,
I don't get into heaven?
Which is a shame because I just let Quinn in.
Oh.
So he never broke his...
me! He hit me! And we both went off the bridge! And he's in heaven?
Yeah, I know. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, but he was so pissed that he had lost 15 consecutive seasons in a row that he pushed me off the bridge.
But he never broke his word, okay? He may have broken your neck sending you up here, but he never broke his word. And that's why he's up here, and I'm going to need you to take 2 steps to the left.
So wait, you're telling me just because I broke an oath of not seeing Green Lantern,
yes,
I'm going to hell? I can't be going to hell.
You call it what you want, but you're going down. Okay, so if you could just...
At least send me to like purgatory or something.
Okay, I can send you to purgatory for a little bit.
Well, what's in purgatory?
Just a bunch of babies.
Oh. Wait, cute babies though, right?
Well, the cute ones and the ugly ones, they all go there.
Oh. Not those babies where you don't want to tell the parent that baby is not cute.
Exclusively those babies.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And
Say,
it's just
Peter,
sort of
you can't
like
be doing this to me.
It's just sort of like a gray bus station filled with babies.
And then, okay, so that's purgatory. So what's hell? What is my options in hell?
Hell is actually, it's just more Green Lantern.
Damn you, Ryan Reynolds. Damn you.
Hello, fellow lanterns, coming to you from the planet OA in Burbank, California. This is Film versus Film. I am, of course, your Season 1 champion, Quinn Boys, co-host of the... excuse me, Leonard, I'm trying to get through my intro. Co-host of the podcast. And I did not have to submit to this season's punishment, but I think we've laid it out pretty strongly. Leonard Smith Jr., my co-host, he did have to watch Green Lantern, as was his punishment. He had to watch a movie based on a character that he loves, that takes that character and just throws him in the dirt and drags him around for 2 hours straight. Leonard Smith Jr.
The anger has been inside me. The fear has grown. It's grown so strong. I have become so powerful, but in such a negative way because of this terrible, godforsaken disaster of a film. But you know what? It was just a film. I just watched some film. I said I would never watch it, but it's cool. It's not like it's a big deal. It's not like it's going to really affect my life. It affected my life pretty negatively for this week, but that's all it's ever
but it
been.
ends there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last of it. I mean, you faced your fear, which, you know what? I didn't remember because the movie's a piece of crap, but that's actually the theme of the film, facing your fears. So maybe you were able to work through some shit while watching some shit?
I mean, I guess I did work through some anger issues from having to watch this terrible, unstructured, I don't even know, hot garbage. It wasn't even a dumpster fire, because dumpster fires are like entertaining. Like, it's like,
right.
Oh, what's gonna happen next? Is it gonna get even bigger?
Yeah. What's in that bag? What's gonna happen when that bag goes up? So basically, if you've listened to the podcast the past few weeks, or at all really, we talked about at the end of this season, which Leonard lost from not picking correctly the most movies, he had to do a punishment. And you might say, well, the punishment is, to most of us, fairly mild. I would say having to watch the Green Lantern, I did that when I wasn't being punished. I just bought a ticket in 2011 and I sat down and I watched it with a friend.
I paid to watch the movie as well.
I think we were like, it was a buddy of mine. We were home from college in our hometown, and he was like, you want to just watch Green Lantern? And I was like, this movie looks bad. This was before Ryan Reynolds kind of
had extended to that, like,
the Deadpool movie, level, where he was
movie star level.
Exactly. This was where he was kind of still grasping for that franchise, and he had a lot of swings.
There was a lot of promotion behind this too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I remember there was like a big Burger King promotion and shit, and like
DC was still like doing the Chris Nolan Batman movies. The third one hadn't come out yet, so it was like, maybe this other DC property will be hot.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
And I think the fact that trilogy was so damn good, it just made Green Lantern even worse, because it was like, okay, people have figured out how to do superhero movies correctly, and then this hot piece of garbage came out. Because there's some bad superhero movies, like, what is it, Ghost Rider and fucking like the Fantastic Four both times, The Last Stand. There's some bad ones out there, and then we started to get a wave of good. There was Iron Man, there was the Christopher Nolan films, and then here comes Green Lantern.
Yeah, I will say, like, Marvel kind of figured it out around the late 2000s into the 2010s by just being like, all of our movies will have kind of the same tone. Like, you can modulate it, and maybe, Guardians of the Galaxy is a little bit more cartoonish than Captain America, which is a little bit more of a thriller than Iron Man, which is a little bit funnier, like whatever. But it's all, as we've seen from the Avengers movies, they all feel like they can exist in the same universe. And I don't know if the plan was ever to get Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern in the same movie with Christopher Nolan
There's no
Batman
way
universe
that could ever happen.
But it wouldn't work. And so this movie kind of feels like it's a movie about a guy who has a green ring that can create anything out of the power of his hand, which he has to charge, which was given to him by an alien. And he's like a hot-headed Ryan Reynolds pilot who needs to, like...
It's a movie about an entitled asshole who can't get over his childhood trauma, who basically gets lucky, and then somehow... It didn't even explain, like, it didn't make sense. Because, a lot of these movies, it's like, oh, he's new to this scene, or he's just now getting these powers or whatnot, and they're the most powerful. Like, like with, like, Star Wars or something. It's like, now he, like, has more power than anyone else. But it didn't even really say that or explain that. It just happened to be like, oh, this new guy knew how to do it. It just, like, didn't make any sense.
And there's nothing heroic about Ryan Reynolds. He's talented. Like, he's a skilled pilot. The first part of the movie kind of feels like Top Gun, almost. I was telling you a little bit. And, like, Ryan Reynolds he's just a cocky douche. He wakes up late for his very important flight test because he's been having sex with a lady, and then he leaves and races, almost gets into a couple car accidents getting to the airfield, and then he's
like not looking.
Yeah.
He literally is not looking as he's driving and wrapping a present.
And listen, I'm often late, but I wouldn't put that as a quality that like is worthy of me becoming a superhero. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's not late because he was like donating. You know, he's not a virtuous character, which is fine. Neither is Iron Man.
I was gonna say neither is Iron Man.
Yeah,
but you understood what type of person Iron Man was, and
Tony Stark's
his backstory like made sense.
Exactly, his backstory where he gets kidnapped is specifically kind of designed to address those issues of Tony Stark that is in the character when we first meet him. Ryan Reynolds, it's like this is the same douchebag, but someone just gives him an all-powerful green ring.
Exactly. Tony Stark had the smarts, the talent, the drive to build that fucking suit in that cave for like fucking 6 months or whatever the fuck.
Right.
And Ryan Reynolds is like, oh, I get orbed over to this spaceship.
Yeah. Is literally he was just
black
in the,
alien.
It's literally he was just in the right place and time when this alien spaceship crashed and he died and he had to give the ring to someone. Like,
yeah, so let's go ahead and just
he was just nearest an accident.
Quinn said we see the hot shot asshole thing. The movie doesn't start there. The movie just starts out in fucking space.
Oh yeah.
With a couple Green Lanterns like fighting some. We don't even know what it is. You can't even really tell what it is. Quinn calls it a fart.
It's a giant fart.
It's a giant fart.
It's a CGI yellow fart.
The opening is so confusing. It's just like, you don't know what is going on.
I think it's like, I think this is it. And I've seen this movie twice now, unfortunately. I watched it in theaters and I watched you watch it, which was a much more enjoyable experience for me. But I think like, you know, let's take a little bit of a step back. And Leonard, you're going to need to inform me because you're actually a Green Lantern fan, which was part of why this was your punishment. It's like I'm a big Yankees fan or something, you know, and it's like you have to watch the Yankees go 30 and 132, and then like just have to sit there and watch them lose.
2003 NLCS over and over.
ALCS, again. Yeah. Oh, great. Thanks for bringing that up.
Watch the last 4 games.
I did do that. So yeah, exactly. It'd be like that. It's like you have to sit there and you know it's coming and you just have to watch it. Yeah. And so I felt like this would hurt you a little bit because you know the Green Lantern. So tell me if I'm wrong. The Green Lantern in the comics and everything, and in the movie, I think it's the same. They're like an intergalactic police force or peacekeeping. They're like the UN for space.
They're basically like the Justice League of space. Like not even, but literally, yeah. It's all a uniform. It's like it's
a bunch of aliens.
It's like the Rick coalition in Rick and Morty.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And
there's just a bunch of different looking aliens, all wearing the same black and green suit, all with, thankfully, some kind of a digit or a finger that you can put a ring on.
Well, let's not even talk about that. That's just... But in the original story, like, I am not a big comic person. I was when I was younger. Mm-hmm. I didn't follow it throughout my life, so I'm not the one who was like the end-all, be-all on these things. But as a kid, he was my favorite superhero. And I just remember in the comics... This motherfucker was out, like, either doing something. He was doing something as far as, like, working with the Jets. And he was out on a mission. And I think
Hal Jordan, you're saying?
Hal Jordan.
Ryan Reynolds' character?
Crashes, or something happens, and he finds this hurt alien. He doesn't get, like, orbed over to him. But, like, Hal Jordan wasn't a piece of shit. Like, I think he still was, like, a confident, like, had bravado and shit. But, like, I do not remember him being, like, a huge piece of shit.
Yeah, it feels like, you know, we talked about Ryan Reynolds' movie persona ourselves in season 1 when we talked about Van Wilder, which is where I know he'd been in a couple things before then, but I think that idea of Ryan Reynolds, the movie star character, was kind of crystallized in Van Wilder, right? It's like, doesn't want to grow up, kind of pretty boy, kind of cocky
but what
jerk.
Van Wilder had and this didn't have was...
a bunch of guys eating scones that were filled with dogs.
Jokes. The jokes were all... He barely said any real jokes. The whole time he was just like a sad puppy the whole time. Mm-hmm. And there were no good quips. There were no witty comebacks. There was nothing witty about him.
He was like his character. He was like a neutered Van Wilder. Yeah.
Van Wilder had more depth in that character. The only depth he had was he kept seeing his father blow up.
Yeah, at least we knew what Van Wilder wanted, which was to party all the time and to never leave school. But yeah, all that it seems like Ryan Reynolds is just a broken man, or Hal Jordan is just a broken man. He has got flashbacks of his father blowing up in a jet, a fighter jet, which is exactly what he himself, Hal Reynolds, is doing now. And so it's like, that's interesting. Is he doing that because he has the same carefree, I don't care if I die spirit as his dad? Probably, but they don't really look into it at all. You know, he's just like a damaged guy who went to work in the mines after his father died in a cave-in. And it's
also, this happens to him repeatedly over like the 4 days that are covered in this movie.
He should go to therapy.
And she's acting like this is new. She's like, what happened out there? Like when he like failed, like when he blacks out during the test. It's like, was this not happening the whole, like there was no reasoning to why he was triggered all of a sudden for this.
Why today?
Because doesn't he fly jets every goddamn day?
Yeah.
So if he's been like this he would really have problems, and he really wouldn't be out there flying like this. So none of it made sense.
It's a good point. He's kind of referred to and considered like the best in the game when it comes. Yes. So it's like we are picking up with Hal Jordan's character today. He's been a jet fighter pilot for a while. The important thing that he's late for in the start of the movie is that the government is rolling out some
a huge test. They've probably
self-piloting
been working on this for fucking weeks, and he's been flying for at least training for this for weeks.
Drones, basically. They're just like fighter jet drones. And it's like they can do everything a human can do and more because they're got pinpoint precision and there's no human error. And so Ryan Reynolds is like, I got the idea. I'm just going to fly all the way up into space, freeze the circuits on these planes, and then when my plane freezes and flies and falls down, I'm going to regain controls and blah blah blah. So I guess you could say like that's why he was put in a position where it was really do or die and he panicked. But it is kind of weird. You're right. It's like, wouldn't he have panicked a bunch? If this is how his dad died, it's weird that it's affecting him today and not any of the other days. And it seemed also narratively convenient.
It was really weird that he would panic on the downfall because he knew that that's what was going to happen.
Exactly.
So
he planned for that. It was all going according to his plan. He got the controls back.
Is this not happening every single day?
Doesn't, you know what? The movie doesn't care. It just wants you to know that. And it's such a like, I'm sorry, it's not funny to see your parent get blown up. But in this movie, it kind of is, because as he's like falling down, trying to regain controls, he kind of, doesn't he get the controls back, but then he freezes? Isn't that, like he freezes, not the equipment? He freezes. And so you go into Ryan Reynolds' mind and you see him as like a cherry-cheeked 8-year-old boy watching his dad successfully land a jet on the tarmac. You know
what's about to happen, but they make it so much more dramatic.
Did something happen before, like that it was damage coming down?
No, he was going to take off.
Yeah.
And I instantly was like, this nigga's about to blow up on takeoff.
Like, you said that. I think we have you on tape saying.
Like, he's about to blow up on takeoff. And so he takes off, and, like, something blows or something, and then he runs into a building. It crashes and, like, slides on the ground.
But he's okay.
The top opens, cockpit opens, and he gets out, and they're like, oh, he's not going to die.
It's like just enough time for his dad to like swing a leg over the side of the thing and look at his son and be like, I'm okay, boy.
Locks eyes with Hal Jordan, young Hal Jordan, and then explodes.
Kaboom. Yeah, the jet blows, and they do that like
implodes.
Again, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny the way that like they do the thing where like the shockwave catches young Hal and like throws him back in dramatic slow motion. And it's like, this is the worst possible way.
How was Hal the only person? I'm going into the.
They're just letting a kid run onto the tarmac to see his dad. Yeah, well, no, the jet was on fire.
He was the only person there. There was no one else there.
Insane. Okay, so we've established Hal kind of as much as the movie established.
This is like the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie.
We've established that there's a yellow fart that the Green Lantern Corps, not to this point to do with Hal at all, is investigating because it's, I guess, been like clearing out civilizations. It's been going to populated planets, and the Green Lanterns have like a read on all planets that are populated, and they kind of not police them, but they oversee them. And so they go and check, and like everyone's dead. So it's like it's a genocide. It's a worldwide genocide, and
it's the Death Star.
Yeah. And so when they go and check out one of these planets, I don't remember the alien's name. Abin Sur, is that the one?
Abin Sur.
Is that the one?
Yep.
Oh, thank you, IMDb. He gets attacked by the fart. I don't want to keep calling it the fart. What's its name again?
Sounds like a prescription drug.
Parallax.
Parallax. What the fuck? That might be the actual name. So like, I can't. Maybe that was the original name. Of the comic.
Probably from the comics. So Abin Sur, who is a Green Lantern, his ship is damaged by Parallax, who is a fart. Leonard thinks he's a black alien, although he's pink or purple. I guess if he's
purple.
purple, he's black. If he's pink, he's white.
Exactly. You get it, Quinn.
So he gets damaged. He makes for Earth, which is like the nearest planet with civilization. Crashes. Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan finds him, freaks out, and then he's like, "Yo, I'm about to die, but before I do, though, take this ring." And Hal's like, "Okay," and then leaves.
Apparently, Hal Jordan was the most. Hal Jordan, who literally almost killed like 18 different people that day.
Yeah.
Was the one. He was the chosen one.
And so he gets the ring. So shenanigans ensue. He doesn't think he's worthy. He says the oath of the Green Lantern, which gives him a suit.
No, hold on. Hold on. First of all, this motherfucker, Abin Sur, was in the goddamn ocean, crashed. Ryan Reynolds comes. It takes a little while for the government or somebody to notice, but they notice. Mm-hmm. I got one question for you, Quinn. We find out later, and we see early. We see at the beginning of the movie, motherfucking Green Lanterns are flying through space with no ship.
Yeah.
Floating through space.
Yeah.
All through space, traveling goddamn light years.
You don't need a helmet.
Galaxies and
you can
dimensions
breathe.
and shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But this nigga was in a spaceship.
Yeah.
Abin Sur can't fly through space. Aliens can't fly through space. They gotta travel in a spaceship.
I don't know what to tell you about that one.
It literally made it irked me the entire movie.
Because
no one else was in a spaceship the entire movie.
Ryan Reynolds is at the end of the movie able to fly near enough to the sun that like it doesn't take him very long. I guess my only thing would be like, do they use spaceship? You know, like not Star Wars rules, because Star Wars they can't go in space at all. But like, do you use a spaceship if you need to travel light years in the blink of an eye? But like you can generally fly if you're a Green Lantern?
That's what Ryan Reynolds did when he traveled to the goddamn OA. That shit ain't in the same galaxy as Earth.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm trying to defend this crap movie. They clearly were just like, Abin Sur needs a spaceship. No one else needs a spaceship. Maybe it's alien racism.
It is alien racism.
I think you might be onto something.
Okay, so before he makes the oath, though, Abin Sur gets taken by the U.S. government and put in a lab.
And dissected. Autopsied.
He's a black alien, so they had to have a black doctor, Angela Bassett.
Yeah. Just to make the dead alien feel...
Who literally says like 6 lines in this entire movie.
I completely forgot Angela Bassett was in this movie. I completely forgot Tim Robbins was in this movie. I completely forgot a few people.
There's a lot of great actors.
Taika Waititi plays Ryan Reynolds' friend.
Yeah. The
A-list director, but back then it was like, do you want the 6th lead in Green Lantern? He's like, okay. I mean, if it's even that. There's a lot of names in this movie that they all attached onto a huge flop.
So, the black doctor apparently can't figure out a black alien. So, what do you get that solves all problems? A white man chilling in an apartment on his computer. Smart white man. Smartest white man, apparently, in America, who can only... They can't figure out this alien without this one balding, ponytail having...
Peter Sarsgaard looking
white man.
Do you remember that character's name?
That it's nepotism, and then I was like, "This is the smartest, realest thing about this movie."
Yeah, it's Tim Robbins who works in the government. Is like, I want my son, who's Peter Sarsgaard. Who is Peter Sarsgaard that much younger than Tim Robbins?
Let's find out. Will you look that up? Will you look up the age difference
up.
between Peter Sarsgaard?
But Peter Sarsgaard plays the villain Hector Hammond, who, in the process of autopsying the Abin Sur, gets some like alien DNA infused. What happens, Leonard? I wasn't paying close attention.
Somehow the alien DNA just like jumps into his skin or something.
Did he have a cut?
I don't think there was a cut, man.
I think this is why you don't autopsy aliens, because you don't know how that shit's gonna go. You can't just treat them like humans.
I guess that's why they got his punk ass. But
and he autopsies the alien. It takes him like a whole montage, and he comes away. And what's his big finding?
It was It was the fear that had like attacked Abin Sur had jumped into his body.
Okay, sure.
And then what was your question?
When he spends all that time autopsying him and looking at the alien, then he comes away with his big finding to report back to Angela Bassett. Do you remember what it was? Because it really got you when you were watching it on the live stream.
He was a humanoid, some type of humanoid alien. It was like, nigga, we can tell. He has arms, legs, fucking a mouth, eyes, nose, and shit.
He looks at this thing for like probably a few hours, and then he comes out and he's like unscrubbing, and he's like, It's humanoid. It's like, you mean it has arms and legs and a torso? Like, fuck out of here. Of course.
Oh my God. And she just doesn't say anything back.
Maybe that's further the proof of like nepotism. Is just Angela Bassett has worked probably 20 years to get to the position that she has and to get the respect of her colleagues, to be the first name on the call sheet when an alien lands on Earth. They're like, get us Angela Bassett. And then Tim Robbins, who's some senator or something, is like,
fucking senator.
Like,
this nigga's not even a president.
Get my son in there. He's a high school science teacher. Have him take a look.
Literally, Quinn is not exaggerating.
He comes back.
He's a fucking high school science teacher.
He comes back and he just goes, "It's humanoid." Thanks a lot.
And his
Peter
whole
Sarsgaard
storyline is like, I wish I wasn't ugly. I'd rather be pretty than be smart.
He wants to get with
Blake Lively.
Blake Lively, who is Ryan Reynolds' real life wife. I think they met on this movie, or they fell in love on this movie, and his love interest in the film, Carol Ferris, which is that character.
Which was confusing too, because she's the fighter pilot, the other pilot of the other plane at the beginning, and then she's like later, and then you think she's like some administrative person, and it's just like, what is this the same character?
I don't know. She's sort of his Reynolds'
like,
co-worker, and she's sort of his
girlfriend?
boss, and she's sort of his girlfriend.
Very confusing.
And she's sort of a brunette. I don't know.
And they've known each other their whole life.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they've known each other since they were kids.
What's wrong?
Yeah.
What's wrong, Hal?
How come you froze?
Are you still harping over your dad blowing up?
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about this?
Tim Robbins is 62 this year, and Peter Sarsgaard is 49. Okay, so that's a 13-year-old baby's having babies. And they make Peter Sarsgaard look so bad in this movie. Like, once he gets infected, his forehead grows super big. He looks like Megamind, and his hair kind of like falls out. And Tim Robbins just looks like kind of slick California politician. I don't know if they're in California. I don't know where they are. But he looks like a politician. They're probably in some fictional DC city like they all are.
Okay,
but
so we'll get to...
He does not look like his dad.
Let's keep going with the progression of the film. I kind of jumped ahead with the whole nepotism part because we don't learn that till later in the movie.
I mean, the movie just sort of happens after. So he becomes Green Lantern. He gets pulled to planet Oa or OA. The literal spelling of the planet.
This is after the oath.
Is OA.
Yeah, and he just somehow... He was supposed to learn the oath, but then he didn't get to learn it.
The Lantern just told him. He
gets hypnotized into knowing the oath.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which he has to say. So it's like, how are the powers working on you? I don't know.
And presumably you're supposed to say it with conviction and mean it.
Yeah.
And that's why the oath is like, it's a little bit like a Thor's hammer thing, right? Like, if you say the oath and are worthy, the ring will kind of go to you.
And before he goes to the OA, he goes to the bar, and I guess he meets Blake Lively there, and she doesn't understand what's wrong, even though she's apparently known him his entire life. And then
how does she not understand that he found a dead alien and got his ring?
He's leaving the bar, and apparently a couple of the government officials, Air Force guys, didn't like what Ryan Reynolds did, messing up the test and messing up their money. So they beat the brakes off this dude. They beat the shit out of this dude. Mm-hmm. Like, he's probably got broken ribs and shit. And the first time he uses his ring is just they leave. They're like, they do beat the brakes off him, but they are like walking away, and he's like, nah, come back. He like talks more shit, and they come back for him. And then he just uses the ring to make like a big ass fist and literally probably kill. They go away from it because he just dips, but like he kills these three dudes basically.
Do we think they died? Yeah, because that's a different movie. I think we're supposed to assume they're alive.
That dude went through a brick wall. Like, the brick was exploding. That dude's dead.
I like this reading of it that he kills them. Yeah, okay, I'm on board.
At least one of them died.
He just kills three government stooges, and then the Green Lanterns are like, they're like with
he's ready.
Yeah, they're like with Michael Corleone. They're like, you got to go to Italy for a while till the heat dies down. Michael, you just killed the cop, okay? So instead of Italy, they just sent him to planet Oa, and they're like, you got to learn how to be Green Lantern. You can't kill three government stooges. Which
doesn't make any sense because the power of Green Lantern is supposed to be to harness the power of will and like positive energy and shit. That motherfucker for sure. I guess he was using will because he was like, listen, bitch, come back. I want more.
It's my will to murder these men.
Yeah. Anyways, he didn't know he was gonna murder them, I don't think, but he murdered them.
The sequences on Oa, I really hope it's OA or Oa. You call it OA and I'll call it Oa, and then one of us will be right.
I for sure call it OA.
The sequences on Oa is like, it's all CGI, and they have some impressive voice acting. Actually, Mark Strong is probably like doing like a green suit thing, but a lot of the characters are just you can tell like total CGI creations. And there's like the voice of Jeffrey Rush, Mark Strong, who plays Sinestro, who kind of looks like a old timey 1950s movie star. He's got like a little thin mustache and like a widow's peak.
He looks like an old school Italian devil.
Yeah, and he's pink, so he's probably white. Leonard, I
thought he was red.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe he's red. I don't know. I'm trying to guess the race of these aliens.
Oh, he for sure was Italian.
Okay. So they train them, and it's this awful CGI. Like it's not quite a third of the movie, but it's like all the time on that planet is like dead time because nothing seems real. They're like just fighting him, and
the CGI is so bad. But let's talk about him. First of all, why the fuck? It's supposed to be Green Lanterns. I don't know. Sinestro, I guess, is the head Green Lantern. And then they're like these people who created the whole Green Lantern Corps, created the whole world. And they're I forgot the term, but they're like the smart, wisest people who live forever.
They look like what's his name? Like a less ugly version of how Peter Sarsgaard winds up looking. They just got big old heads, and they're old. They all have like beards or mustaches or something. They're like wise elders that sit and just think about the fate of the universe.
And apparently, no human has ever been a Green Lantern because they're such a young species.
That's like my favorite cliche from any. I hate like I get it. Listen, I get it. Humanity. The Earth in Hollywood movies where an Earthling, usually an American, meets the rest of the galaxy and all these aliens.
Yeah.
It's always like an American going abroad to Europe or so. There's always that thing where it's like, you Earthlings are so primitive and you Earthlings don't have the right temperament to be. And like, I get it. That's probably true. But it's also such a cliche where they're just like, no Earthling could have a Green Lantern ring. And it's like, that guy's just a blob of liquid over there. He's got one. Like, give one to everyone. Certainly some human is worthy. Like, it's just that everyone, I guess what I'm saying
and
is...
that first human was Hal Jordan.
Everyone is prejudiced against Earthlings in space movies there.
I mean, they should be. We suck.
Yeah.
But it is funny, and it is very annoying. And they use that trope like a few too many times in this movie, I feel like. But also, so we didn't even explain the powers of what Green Lantern has and what this ring has. If you have this ring on and you're a Green Lantern, you have all this energy that you can use, and you can create basically whatever you want. You can create a whatever object. You can create energy blast, energy and shit. And it's basically up to you and your mind and what your mind is capable of creating and the power of will that you have to create, or how much you need to use or how much you need to harness. And there's like an energy where there's an energy surrounding your body, that same energy, and you can fly and you can do all this crazy shit.
Yeah, you can create, as we've seen in the movie, a sword. You can create a Gatling gun.
And that's the point I was getting to.
You can create a giant Hot Wheels bumper track.
If you are a fucking fan of Green Lantern, everything that there literally wasn't one thing that he created or used in this movie that I enjoyed. Everything that he made, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Mm-hmm. This is fucking stupid.
Yeah, because like theoretically, the best like use of that power is it allows you to be imaginative, right? Like Batman has only got like certain things in his utility belt. We know he's going to use the Batarang, or he's going to use those little like ninja star bat dagger things that he throws. But it's like Green Lantern, he doesn't have to, like, to see Ryan Reynolds use the power of the Green Lantern ring to create a Gatling gun that just is firing bullets at people. It's like, that's feels like beside the point. And then when they do the quote unquote creative stuff, there's a scene early on where he visits like his nephew or something, and his nephew's playing with a Hot Wheels car on one of those like plastic orange tracks that we all remember. And then later in the movie when he's Green Lantern...
We'll talk about that scene later.
Okay.
Specifically. But later in the movie, I just am very angry about that.
You want to save it? Yeah, by all means. I guess my point is they missed the opportunity to get really kind of creative, I think, with the powers. And it kind of makes the Green Lantern look stupid when you don't use the powers
when there's two Green Lanterns fighting on the OA with swords. Yeah. Oh, a sword. How primitive of you. Oh, but let's sword fight with two. It's like, what? You're both Green Lanterns and you're sword fighting right now?
Do you recognize Michael Clark Duncan's voice was in that?
He was the big fucking...
He was the big, Kilowog, I think was his name.
Yeah. And that whole thing was so trash.
Yeah, again,
it was
all
also like,
CGI.
okay, this is obviously a very black alien, and that was just so stupid.
I'll give you Kilowog. But like the suit too, like this is something you got to talk about. The suit is not real. No part of Ryan Reynolds' suit in this movie. And maybe he was wearing a green screen suit. Maybe he was wearing something that they CGI'd over. But what we are looking at on the screen, down to the mask, is all CGI, and it looks terrible.
It was fucking terrible. Like, who thought that was a good idea? Literally, him wearing a spandex suit would have looked better than what he was wearing.
Yeah. Yeah. Him wearing like one of those Halloween Green Lantern suits where you're just wearing like a Green Man suit, you know, like the CGI suit. If you just pulled those on, stopped at the neck, and then they just gave him a little piece of like, you know, like from the Joel Schumacher Batman movies with Robin, you just gave him that same kind of plastic to pop over the eyes, would have looked much better.
I think he literally is wearing a green mask that they CGI'd a mask onto him.
So that they could like move it with his facial expressions and stuff, which part of me gets, but it looks so bad. And then the suit, they gave like these, like, they're not quite veins, but there's like these vein lines. And when like he's like, you know, exerting effort or something, you'll see like them pulse, and you can tell they're just CGIing in like little kind of bits of green. And it's like, I know that someone thought that this was like going to look really high tech, but it actually looks really cheap and bad, and you don't for a second believe that he's wearing it.
Yeah. And so now we're at the OA. He leaves the OA to go back to Earth. We completely skipped over earlier about him missing basically his nephew's birthday party.
Oh, who cares about his nephew? That's
this whole guy. Then we learn about the nepotism, and we're like, oh, okay, well then that makes sense why this dude was chosen out of like government officials out of his apartment to come.
This kind of like creepy incel dude who's just lusting after Blake Lively and
literally his entire life.
Yeah.
And the only way that they can garner any type of feeling from anyone in this movie is by making there be some father-son, father-daughter, patriarchal fucking type of relationship. And if you want to garner any type of emotion, you have to see your father die or be angry at your father. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, it's that weird thing where it's like, they're like, all right, who's this guy Hector Hammond, the villain, played by Peter Sarsgaard? It's like, what's his relationship to our two main characters, who are, I guess, Blake Lively and definitely Hal Reynolds? And so they're like, let's just say that he was a kid growing up with them, and he's got a crush on Blake Lively, which is creepy, and also his dad, played by Tim Robbins, has always looked at Hal Jordan as more of a son, or the son that he wanted, than he did his own son, Hector. So it's like, you're like halfway through the movie, and we've met Peter Sarsgaard, but we don't know what relation he has to our two main characters. And then they're like, we got to get this guy some backstory quick. So they're like, boom, daddy issues, boom. You love his girlfriend, great. Now you're the perfect foil for Green Lantern, because you also have supervillain powers.
And they also reveal that so late.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's going on? And it's kind of confusing, and it's just really done poorly, and I'm
sure it's all in the comic, but you know what, like, you got to adapt it well. Like, it doesn't come across, you know, you can't assume that most people like know who these characters are and will be from your comic. Like, it has to make sense as a movie, and none of it does.
It was very poor execution.
So do you want to get to the so they're all at a fancy helicopter party? This, honestly, can I give you a take?
Okay, give me a take, please.
I like to think that this party is the Catalina wine mixer, because it's just a big ass fancy party with a bunch of people in suits, and then just helicopters on platforms. Like, come look at our helicopters.
Literally, I thought it was a charity event. Maybe
it's the Catalina wine mixer.
We'll just call it's the Catalina wine mixers. They're clearly in California. So they're at some Catalina wine mixer. The senator's there, who is Hector Hammond's father.
Tim Robbins, yep.
Blake Lively's is there. Blake Lively's character, which I feel disrespectful. We're calling Tim Robbins.
Carol Ferris. Just call her Blake Lively, yeah.
And Hal shows up after coming back from the OA. And also, Blake Lively's father is also there.
Sure, yep.
Which is weird. And because then it's like, oh, he's the only one here without a father.
Everyone in this movie has a dad except for Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
so you meet everyone's dad.
There's a scene earlier where we see Tim Robbins basically telling Skarsgård he needs to get his shit together or he can be dealt with. He doesn't care. He's basically sucks. And he says something to piss off Skarsgård, and he has the powers, and he's realizing that he can not only. First, it was what women want, where he was reading people's brains. Then he could realize he had powers and could move things. So he breaks off a beer tap. We all see his father get in a helicopter, surrounded by people, and just like fly off and leave. And he's just like hanging there waving for like a good 10 seconds. He shoots the beer tap breaks it off, hits it into the back propeller so that it takes a little bit of time for the helicopter to go down. Mm-hmm. This helicopter was in air for like another 10 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Just like, whoa.
Well, that's why they were having a party for this helicopter, because it's so exceptional.
Yeah, it was like, whoa, it's going to happen. And it made you think like, okay, Ryan Reynolds is about to turn into Green Lantern and go save the helicopter. Like, go
lift it up or something.
Yeah. Nope. This motherfucker just keeps swaying back and forth. No one at the event moves. They're all just standing and staring.
I think it's like that thing, if you throw a knife up in the air, you're like, I don't want to move underneath the knife, so I'm just going to stay where I am, but look up. Like, everyone is dumbstruck like a deer in the headlights. You're right.
No one had forethought. And then the movie swings around, and then someone's like, oh, it's like Blake Lively's father. He's like, oh my God. It's like, nigga, what? You never thought that the helicopter could come down and hit you? It hits like some partition or some shit and comes at the entire crowd, hits the ground, doesn't explode, slides through the entire event, and then just like stops. Something happens, but no one gets hurt. No one dies. If you're going to make it that extreme, Ryan Reynolds does nothing to do anything about this. He doesn't turn into Green Lantern after it crashes, and then he decides to do the worst possible things he could do to save the people. He could have done something easy. He does. Well, I'm going to let Quinn talk about it now. It's like the like body of the helicopter is like falling to the ground or something, and he fucking creates.
He recreates his nephew's Hot Wheels set.
A Hot Wheels track.
Yeah.
Oh, he puts wheels on the. Oh no, that's what it is. There was another like model plane hanging or something, or
I don't remember. Yeah,
and the wings get ripped off, and then the hub of the plane is like fucking about to hit these people, and he puts wheels on it, so then that it's rolling so it looks like a Formula One race car.
Yeah,
and then it rides on a track.
Yeah,
and it was.
And there doesn't seem to. I mean, like, because he doesn't announce himself. I mean, I guess some people see him as Green Lantern, but like, it's a weird coming out party. It's just like, sorry I didn't do anything about this until the 0 hour where I made a Hot Wheels thing. Like, I don't know if people would be like, this is a new superhero. They're like, what the hell is this guy? What are his gifts? Yeah. What is he?
It's like, oh yeah, it's like he was basically. He was like Trent Dilfer for the Ravens in 2001. He was managing the game. Just don't lose the game. You don't have to win it for us, but just don't lose it.
I think that's a pretty good. Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern is the Trent Dilfer of the superhero universe, of film superheroes.
Managing the situation. And then he just flies off.
Although Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
He did. Well, goddamn, Ryan Reynolds wins. I mean,
this movie didn't win shit. You didn't game manage this movie anywhere. Before we get bogged down, let's just go so how does the movie end, Leonard? Because I think there's a lot of yada yada bull crap. Thankfully, they do have a scene where Blake Lively sees Ryan Reynolds up close, like on a balcony, one of those classic superhero confronts the love interest of the superhero scenes, and she's just like, oh, you're Hal Jordan. And he's like, how do you know? And it's like, because you got a fucking mask on your face, but the rest of your head is visible, you dumbass. Like,
yeah. It was like, how did no one know? And the only person who knew at first was his friend who helped him like get away when he got the ring. So that's the only reason why he knew, which made no sense.
The one bit of self-awareness that this movie had that like it didn't lean into was that, which I guess I appreciated, but it's also like, this movie's so silly. I don't even know. Weird for you guys to be quote unquote smart in this situation by just being like, of course we'd recognize them. Makes me think about how stupid everything else is that you're expecting us to take at face value.
And they also did it too late. They were also like a beat or two too late every time they like.
So they go. I'm sorry. So Parallax, who's I guess just been chilling for most of this movie, after he knocks Abin Sur into Earth, he's like, I'm just gonna hang for a little bit, maybe see what's up. And then now that Ryan Reynolds has at least had the chance to get the ring, figure out his powers, train a little bit. Then Parallax is like, all right, now I'm coming to Earth. I'm going to feed off everyone's fear, and I'm going to murder you guys.
Because of Hector Hammond was there. I guess Hector Hammond like maybe was
he called to him or something.
the catalyst or something that drew him there.
Nothing about this movie is like explicit. And I understand you can be ambiguous about things, but there's certain plot points that's like, I want to know why Parallax is showing up now. And you're right. I guess Hector kind of calls to him in some way, but it's like, why did he not come earlier? Wasn't he chasing Abin Sur? He was able to track him across the galaxy. Surely he'd be able to know he landed on Earth.
I don't care about Abin Sur.
Yeah.
Why did this happen to Hector Hammond? And none of it
is explained. None of it makes sense.
None of it makes any sense.
Yeah.
So it's like it was poorly executed. The story, it wasn't even a story. It was just like a line of scenes.
And so the standoff is that Parallax is like, again, just a giant CGI blob. You know who played Parallax in this movie?
Who?
Nobody, because he's a giant CGI blob, Leonard. He has no lines. He has no body. He's just a big yellow fart. And I remember sitting in the theater being like, oh my God, this is actually... And you know what? Maybe that's like Green Lantern's best villain. Maybe that's the Lex Luthor of the Green Lantern verse.
Sinestro. It's Sinestro.
Yeah.
And I thought Sinestro was going to make a turn and then become the bad guy, which... And he
saving it for a sequel that will never come, by the way.
He doesn't like Hal Jordan, but they for sure were trying to set up... Like, in this non-story, they were trying to set up something for, like, another movie. Mm-hmm. But obviously it never got made, and thank God.
Don't hold on to your best story beats. If you have Mark Strong, use him as the villain in the movie that you have him in. Don't be like, we're going to wait for the sequel.
And Sinestro makes some comment about the bigger they are, the larger they burn. Which is also funny because his dad burned alive. But...
True.
He pulls Parallax to the sun once again without a spaceship.
He just flies close to the sun, and Parallax is like, I'm going to chase this guy. And then he gets too close and he gets pulled into the sun's gravitational field.
And that's the end of the movie. And this movie happened over like 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
We don't know how time works in OA. We don't. Apparently, he was just gone and came back. It seemed like he was there for a while. And then finally, it's like, you can't be on Earth anymore. Like, you're supposed to be out here patrolling the galaxy.
Yeah, you're a cop now.
Yes, you're patrolling the galaxy. You're a shitty cop.
Yeah.
Anyways. And then he's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I got to leave Earth, man. I can't be here. And then that's the end of the movie.
I got to say, Leonard, watching you, so you streamed this movie on Twitch.
Yes.
You had to, that was part of your punishment. You had to either live stream it or tweet it or something. And you streamed it on Twitch, and I'm really glad you did, because I kind of got to refamiliarize myself with the movie while also taking breaks whenever I wanted, which you didn't have the luxury of doing. But I get to watch you just work yourself up into this frustrated lather of, like, you were just watching some of these things. Like, I'm trying to think the race car scene, you lost your shit. The Hot Wheels scene. The scene where they're doing the autopsy on the alien, you were losing it. Like, watching you watch it and get angry. And there were moments, because Leonard was all alone out there on the internet. There were moments, Leonard, where you'd be like, I'm getting too upset. I gotta take a deep breath. I'm gonna be better. And then you'd like watch it for another 5 minutes, and you'd be like, of course she knows he's Green Lantern. Like, you would just get so interactive with it. It was, I was very glad. I felt like I picked the right movie to punish you with. What do you feel now, having seen it, having gotten through your punishment? What do you think? And then I'm gonna ask you some like nuts and bolts questions about like how much money the movie made.
I felt like it was a great choice. And I mean, I gave it to you. I told you what movie I hated.
You did give it to me.
Not everyone to watch. And, they're like those movies that they're like so bad that they're kind of good, or they're like at least entertaining, and they have like some type of value. Green Lantern, I guess it did, because since I was twitching it, it became more valuable. But if I wasn't twitching it and watching it, I would have just been sitting there like, I hate myself. I hate this.
It's not a fun hate watch because it's not interesting enough. It's like boring and nonsensical at part.
Yes.
Like, there are some scenes where you might be like, oh, that's funny. But most of it, it's like, this is so dull. Me
twitching it actually made it more entertaining for me. Mm-hmm. So if I wasn't doing that, it would have been very bad.
Okay, Leonard, here we go. I'm going to give you a couple questions before we wrap up here. How much money what do you think the budget of this movie was?
Sweet fucking Jesus.
Just give me a number.
It came out, so that means like 2010, right after a recession. That's probably why the CGI is so bad.
Right after the recession.
CGI is very bad.
The world was hungry for Green Lantern.
Spent a lot of money. I'm going to say the budget for this film was $110.
$200 million. Here's a surprise.
How, Sway? How?
So I will say the box office, I'm going to just kind of give you a hint here. The box office total is reported as disappointing. Like, the studio, I guess, found it disappointing. But worldwide, how much money do you think it made? And you know what? I'll make it easier for you. Like, give me like 100, 200, 300. You can just give me like, I think it made 400, 500, whatever.
230.
Made $419 million worldwide. Leonard just took his headphones. He's leaving the room. Leonard, you cannot leave the room, buddy. You got to finish this. Part of your punishment is you have to podcast about it.
$419 million?
I personally contributed at least $15 towards that total, yeah.
You and your goddamn friend gave this movie $30?
Yeah. That's wild to me. It's especially that like that $200 million is a lot of money. And maybe there's some money that hasn't been reported that went into it. But like it made twice its budget, $419 million. This was like the year before Avengers came out.
Considered part of budget?
I think sometimes it's baked in, to the number. It's hard to always know what you're getting from the source.
I just remember like you couldn't get away from the advertisements for like the month before, and it just made me hate it even more.
Even still, like I get it. You call it a disappointment because clearly it wasn't like a worldwide hit, but it's the Green Lantern. It's a okay. I'm sorry. No offense, Matt Leonard. It's not a bankable.
No, you're right.
It's like making an Aquaman movie.
You're very right.
It's not guaranteed money.
An Aqua movie, like in Entourage, it was the movie that they made in this fake universe because it was never going to get made in real life.
And Green Lantern, like the Flash, is like a secondary superhero in the DC or just comics universe because they don't even have like one guy heavily associated with them. Like people that like Green Lantern are like, I like this version of Green Lantern, or I like this version. Like Batman is just Bruce Wayne. Superman is just Clark Kent. But this is like, it's like, I don't know. I think $419 million is pretty good for a Green Lantern movie.
I think so as well, which is crazy that they thought it was disappointing.
The mistake was spending $200 million on it.
Those people are greedy, So, man, I mean, I can't lie. Green Lantern is a very basic superhero. His backstory isn't as great as others. But what I liked about him was the fact that he basically was like Superman, but like he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? He was just like a regular dude. But once he had this ring on, he could do whatever the fuck he wanted. But like he only used it for like good and when he needed to.
They thankfully didn't do the thing that would always happen in dramatic moments in like the Justice League cartoons that I used to watch as a kid. Was it would be like, Green Lantern, we need you, and then he'd be like, my ring is out of charge, and he'd just be like, God damn it, Green Lantern, remember to charge your ring. Green Lantern is like a guy who's about to go on like a cross country flight and forgot to charge his phone and is just trying to like find a port at the airport. It's like, dude, think ahead, okay? I should never have to hear about your ring being out of charge, or find a portable charger. Bring that lantern with you.
But I mean, has there been a Flash movie?
No, but he's been in movies. I think there's a Flash movie coming out.
It's just that DC's characters never had that much depth anyway.
Yeah.
The only one that has real depth is fucking Batman. Superman doesn't even really have depth.
No, not really.
They tried to do it with the Man of Steel, and I was very disappointed with that movie.
Man of Steel wasn't very good either. I mean, I think it's better than this movie. But yeah, no, DC has obviously had some struggles this decade, and I think you could argue Green Lantern was the start of it. Because again, 2011, DC's got the 2 Nolan Batman movies, a third one coming out shortly, and they're probably riding pretty high. Or they're like, okay, this Marvel thing's a fad. It's not going to become the juggernaut that it's since become.
And
if we can launch a couple others, we got, Henry Cavill as Superman coming up. We got Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern. They're probably feeling pretty good. And then this movie comes out and it's like, nope, it's over.
Yeah, what was the one that came out in 2012? It was like Dawn of Justice or whatever. What was that?
No, 2012 they had Dark Knight Rises. So
okay, wait.
And then 2013 or 14 was Man of Steel.
That came out like the last 15 to 20 years. One of them was really, really bad.
You think in Superman Returns?
Superman Returns.
That was Brandon Routh in like 06. So that was a while before.
Very bad.
And then they had Man of Steel, which was like 13 or 14.
And I was very excited because it was Christopher Nolan.
With producing at least. Yeah.
But I thought that was
Zack
going to
Snyder.
help. And it was still very bad. It looked so much better than Green Lantern though. Like Green Lantern is just bad in every facet.
Yeah, you could tell from the trailers Green Lantern was going to be bad. There was I saw it and it was like confirmation bias.
But yeah,
you're
right, man. That is the beginning of the downfall because everything since then has been very trash. I thought the Joker was good. I'm not like hailing it as like, oh, this, like this or that. But the Joker at least was good. But other than that, Suicide Squad,
bad.
Trash.
Justice League,
never saw it.
Bad.
I've seen parts of it on TNT. A couple trash. Aquaman, never saw it. I heard it was pretty bad.
Yep.
Oh, Wonder Woman. Wonder
Woman's good. And
Wonder
people
Woman
like
was
Aquaman.
good.
I haven't seen that. So, but yeah, it's been more bad than good for DC
1984.
since
Did
this.
it ever come out?
No.
Okay.
So let's we could do a whole podcast on the DC in the 2010s, but let me give you a couple more quick ones. What do you think the tomato meter is for this? The Rotten Tomatoes score for Green Lantern?
47%.
26%.
Thank you, people.
Audience score 45%. Have you ever seen an audience score that low?
That's the audience score. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, critics 26, audience 45.
I'm proud of the people with a 45% audience score.
Yeah.
Like you said, like you don't ever see an audience score really that low. But yes, 26%. That's
Movie, I won't go into it because I'd get too far on a tangent, but this movie is also directed by Martin Campbell, who is maybe my favorite James Bond director. He launched 2 James Bonds in my lifetime. There was Pierce Brosnan's GoldenEye in 1995, which is one of my favorites, and Daniel Craig's Casino Royale in 2006, which is one of my favorites. He successfully launched 2 Bond movies in 2 really good films. He brought
him back.
He brought it back.
Both times it was like a comeback.
He defibrillated Bond successfully twice.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll give you Ryan Reynolds and Green Lantern and $200 million. And he gave this. I don't think he really worked much after this because this movie's so bad.
Yes.
It's just like, it's done, man. Game over.
It is very bad.
So here's a couple quotes, Leonard. I'm just going to go through. So Richard Roper said, he's an ambiguously heroic hero, and that's in a bad review. I think that's correct, though. We never really know what Ryan Reynolds' deal is. Leah Rosen from The Wrap said, how many more of these superheroes can we take?
Apparently America could take a lot more, but not this.
James Biardinelli for Real Views said the result makes the movie seem assembled from bits and pieces of older superhero yarns rather than existing on a plane of its own. That's true. The movie is totally derivative. The more I think about it, the more I dislike it. Green Lantern's
really
light faded for me, and that was out completely by the time the credits rolled.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's Green Lantern's light faded for me and was out completely by the time the credits rolled. That was Kate Roger for News Hub in New Zealand. Nobody liked this movie. Is my point.
I'm feeling really good. I mean, I always knew the movie was bad, and I heard it was bad from people. But when I was like, I got to watch Green Lantern and doing like the promotions for me watching it, there were quite a few people who were like, it's not that bad. Oh, It could be worse. There are worse movies. Y'all are fucking wrong, okay? You're wrong, and I'm just happy to know that the critics agree with me and that my feelings were justified and that I don't maybe necessarily have anger issues.
You do have anger issues, but I think doesn't mean you're wrong. All right, Leonard, I'm going to let you sign us out for really kicking off the end of Season 1. We'll be back about a month from now, we think. Season 2 is going to kick off with a Christmas episode?
Christmas episode. We're going to do some type of Christmas thing. Maybe we'll do a Christmas movies, or is it a Christmas movie, or is it not a Christmas movie?
Yeah, we'll come back with what the prompt will be. It'll probably be something related to Christmas movies. We look forward to getting started with Season 2. Probably a few more guests in Season 2 and different
we're
prompts.
Have some guests in Season 2.
But to sign us off, Leonard, to take us through the next month without podcast, I just thought it'd be really nice if you could sign us off by reciting the oath of the Green Lantern Corps.
I don't know if they'll let me recite it because apparently I have anger issues.
Let's see if it worked for Ryan Reynolds. It worked for you.
All right, what is it? Hold on, I'll look it up.
You don't know it off the top of your head? You're a fan.
Fuck no, I don't know it off the top of my head.
This is the last part of your punishment. After this, you are completely freed from this punishment.
Yeah, because I didn't watch Mother's Day. That was just kind of like an add-on anyway.
You just said, nope.
It was so, Green Lantern was so bad.
When I beat you next time, I'm going to make you watch Mother's Day.
I don't know. I feel like I'm about to say this oath and I'm going to have the power of Green Lantern. I feel like there's some fear in you, Quinn. Like, maybe you would harm me one day. I don't know.
Oh, we shall see.
I don't know. Who knows? But I don't know. I'm not going to live past 2040 anyway, you know? All right, here we go. In the brightest day, in the blackest night, no evil shall escape my light. Let those worship evil's might. Beware my power, Green Lantern's light.
Oh, I got goosebumps. Oh, a CGI suit has just sprouted and formed around Leonard. Completely CGI. Oh man, it's what a sight to behold. I think Leonard.
I feel the energy. It looks very bad on me.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look good. You probably get it taken in. They could probably fix that for you a little bit. All right, man. It's been a blast. Sincerely, thanks for being a good sport. We really whittled down the punishment until it was just you watching the one movie, but I still feel like I got my money's worth, and I'm excited to go to battle again in season 2 next month.
Yeah, man. Season 1 has been great. Had a lot of fun. Excited for season 2. Excited to get rid of that pop culture criteria.
Until then, see you at the cinema.
De cinema.